Late at night, when the world grows quiet and your thoughts become louder, have you ever noticed something that doesn't quite fit? An object out of place, a memory that doesn't match, a moment that feels slightly wrong? Across history, planes vanish, ships are found empty, cities disappear, and people remember events that never happened. From Amelia Earhart to the Bermuda Triangle, from forgotten civilizations to shared false memories, the same question keeps returning. What if reality isn't stable? What if time bends, worlds overlap, and people slip between versions of existence without warning? And what if these moments aren't accidents, but brief openings into something far larger than we can see? In the quiet of a night, as you sit alone in your room, a thought crosses your mind. What if everything you believe about history, time, and reality itself could be a lie? What if the world as you know it, the events that shaped your life, the people you've known, the landmarks you've visited, all have an alternate version, hidden from view, just a whisper away from your own perception? It sounds like the premise of a science fiction novel, doesn't it? Yet, more and more people are beginning to believe that what they experience, what they think is real, might not be the whole truth. What if the reality we live in is just one of many, each layer intricately interwoven with the others, perhaps just a step or a glitch away from us? Imagine a man who steps into a coffee shop one morning, orders as usual, and sits down by the window, watching the rain fall outside. He's absorbed in his thoughts when suddenly something feels off. He looks around the room, but no one else seems to notice. The coffee cup in front of him, he's sure it wasn't there just a moment ago. There's a chill in the air, a faint buzzing sound in the distance. As his eyes scan the room, he catches a glimpse of a woman at the counter. She looks familiar, almost like someone he knew years ago, but that can't be right. He hasn't seen her in years. He blinks, and when his gaze returns to her, she's gone. Disappeared without a trace. He stands up, confused, walks to the door, but as he steps outside, the world around him shifts. The street has changed. The people, the sounds, the buildings, they're different. For a moment, it feels as if he stepped into another version of the same place, a world just slightly askew. Has he stepped into an alternate reality? Did he experience a glitch in the fabric of time? It's a terrifying thought, one that many people would quickly dismiss as a product of imagination or paranoia. Yet, some would argue that these glitches in reality happen more often than we realize, like small cracks in the facade of our world, letting us glimpse what lies beyond the ordinary. These are not just fictional scenarios. They are moments that have been reported throughout history and even in our own time. Strange disappearances, inexplicable events, and bizarre occurrences that defy all logic. How often do we dismiss things as coincidence, as simple misunderstandings, or as a trick of the mind? But what if there's something more to it? What if these strange occurrences are echoes of parallel realities or timelines that are just one step away from our own? When we talk about history, we often think of it as a linear progression, a series of events leading from one point to another. We are taught that history unfolds in a straightforward manner, that the past is fixed, the present is a result of it, and the future is waiting to be written. But what if this isn't the case? What if history isn't a single, unbroken thread, but a tapestry of interwoven possibilities, each moment carrying with it the potential for divergence? In some theories, history is not a line, but a web, one that can bend, break, and even branch off into alternate realities. Some believe that there are moments in time when this web falters, glitches, allowing these parallel worlds to bleed into one another. And within these moments, something or someone can slip through the cracks. Consider the Mandela effect, a phenomenon that has captured the attention of millions across the world. It's not just a simple matter of misremembering a name or a place. It's the idea that a whole group of people from different walks of life can collectively remember something differently than it actually occurred. The name of a popular children's book, the way a logo is styled, the spelling of a brand, small details. Yes, but when these misremembered facts are shared by so many, it raises the question, could these differences be the result of something more than faulty memories? Could they be remnants of alternate timelines, where history unfolded just a little differently. For example, how is it possible that so many people remember the Berenstain Bears being spelled Berenstein with an E? Or the fact that the location of New Zealand on a map feels off to some, as though it were once in a different spot? Are these just coincidences, or are they glitches, moments where one timeline briefly bled into another? We've all heard the strange tales of unexplained disappearances, the stories that make us question the boundaries of our reality. Amelia Earhart's disappearance in 1937, for example, one of the most famous missing persons cases in history. The theory that she crashed somewhere in the Pacific Ocean is well known, but there are others, more unusual theories that suggest something far more bizarre. Could it be that Amelia Earhart did not simply crash and die? What if, instead, she crossed into another dimension, one where her disappearance is just another ripple in the fabric of time? This idea may sound like something out of a science fiction story, but it's not as far-fetched as it seems when you consider the unexplainable disappearances of other notable figures and even whole civilizations. The idea that reality itself can glitch, allowing people and events to slip between dimensions, leads us to some startling conclusions. The disappearances of entire ships at sea, like the Mary Celeste, which was found abandoned with no crew and no sign of struggle, suggest that there may be more to these vanishings than meets the eye. There are many more cases throughout history where ships, planes, or people have vanished inexplicably, without leaving behind any trace of what happened to them. The theory that these disappearances are somehow linked to a shift in reality, a tear in the fabric of the space-time continuum, is gaining traction among certain circles. Perhaps these disappearances are not so much a loss of people or objects, but a movement of them between parallel realities, timelines where things are just slightly different or perhaps even radically altered. But it's not just historical events that hint at these parallel worlds. In our modern era, people still report strange, unexplainable experiences that seem to suggest the presence of alternate realities. Time slips, for example, where individuals suddenly find themselves in a different time period, as if the present moment has been replaced by a different version of the past. These accounts, though rare, have been shared by people from all over the world. Some claim to have wandered into a different era entirely, while others speak of entire towns that have disappeared for a brief moment, only to reappear as though they were caught in a time loop or glitch. These experiences have been documented as time slips, and while they defy logical explanation, they suggest that time, as we understand it, may not be as solid as we believe. Then there are the stories of people who have disappeared, only to return years later, claiming that they were taken to a different world, a different dimension. Some say they were abducted by aliens. Others claim they were taken by secret government agencies. But what if these stories are not about abductions at all? What if these people were not stolen, but instead slipped into a parallel world, only to find themselves back in our reality, confused and disoriented? These individuals often speak of a world that is almost identical to ours, but with subtle differences, like a parallel version of their own lives. Could this be evidence of a reality that we are only beginning to understand? As unsettling as these stories may seem, they challenge our understanding of reality, suggesting that the world we inhabit might be far more complex, far more mysterious than we could have ever imagined. The more we investigate these glitches in history, these unexplained disappearances, the more we are forced to consider the possibility that our reality is not the only one. And if that's the case, then the history we know, the events that have shaped our world, may only be one version of many. Could it be that these glitches are simply a reminder that we exist on the edge of a much larger, much more mysterious multiverse, where anything is possible? The answers, it seems, lie just beyond our reach, waiting for us to uncover them. But the real question is, are we ready to face the truth of what lies beyond the fabric of our reality? In the world of theoretical physics and speculative thought, the concept of parallel realities has long captured the imagination of scientists, philosophers, and storytellers alike. The idea that there could be alternate versions of ourselves, living parallel lives in different dimensions, is a mind-bending thought. For most of history, we considered reality to be a single, unchanging entity. What we see, hear, and experience is all there is. But what if this is not the case? What if the universe is far more complex, far more layered than we could ever have imagined? What if there are other realms, other worlds, running alongside ours, separated only by a thin veil of time and space? This concept is not merely the stuff of science fiction, but a serious field of inquiry in modern science, particularly in the field of quantum mechanics. Quantum physics, which governs the behavior of particles on the smallest scale, suggests that the universe is not as deterministic as we once believed. Instead, it operates in a way that is probabilistic, where multiple outcomes are possible for any given event. This leads us to the idea of the multiverse, a collection of parallel universes, where each possible outcome of every event exists simultaneously, each in its own separate reality. The multiverse theory suggests that there could be countless alternate versions of the universe, each with its own set of laws, history, and timeline. In one universe, you might be living a different life, making different choices, or even existing in a reality where certain events happen differently, where history took an entirely different course. To understand how this might work, one must first look at the concept of quantum superposition, which posits that a particle can exist in multiple states at once, only collapsing into a single state when observed. Imagine, for a moment, that you are standing at a crossroads in your life, faced with a decision. According to quantum mechanics, both paths are possible. But in a universe governed by superposition, both decisions could be made simultaneously, creating two separate versions of you, one who takes the left path and one who takes the right. These versions would exist in different realities, each with its own sequence of events and consequences. While the version of you who chose the left path continues in one universe, the other version of you lives in a parallel reality, experiencing a completely different set of circumstances. In this way, reality itself could be branching out at every moment, creating infinite parallel universes, each a reflection of a different outcome. This idea of multiple timelines existing side by side has been explored in both science and popular culture. Movies and books often depict alternate worlds where small changes in history lead to vastly different outcomes. These alternate timelines can be as simple as a world where a historical event played out differently, or as complex as a reality where entire civilizations have evolved in entirely different directions. What is fascinating about these ideas is the notion that these alternate worlds might not be entirely out of reach. What if, for example, we could somehow access these parallel realities? What if there are moments in time when the boundaries between our reality and these other worlds become thin enough to allow for glimpses or even travel between them? One of the most famous theories in this regard is the concept of the many-worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. This theory, proposed by physicist Hugh Everett in 1957, suggests that every time a quantum event occurs, when a decision is made or a possibility is realized, our universe splits into multiple branches. In other words, each possibility that could occur actually does occur, but in a separate, parallel universe. These universes are not isolated. They may interact in subtle ways, or at certain points, they might even overlap. This opens up the possibility that our world might not be as fixed as we once thought. If each decision we make creates a new branch in the timeline, then it stands to reason that the history we know could be just one of many possible versions of the truth. While this theory sounds fantastical, it is rooted in serious scientific inquiry. In fact, there are experiments that suggest our universe behaves in ways that align with the many-worlds theory. For example, in the famous double-slit experiment, particles behave as if they pass through two slits simultaneously, existing in multiple states at once. This behavior can be interpreted as evidence that particles, and by extension, entire systems, can exist in multiple realities. What if this phenomenon is not confined to subatomic particles but extends to larger scales? Could it be that our entire reality is a product of countless overlapping worlds, each one just slightly different from the next? The implications of this theory are profound. If the many worlds interpretation is correct, then every decision we make, every event that occurs, could be the result of an infinite number of parallel universes, each playing out a different version of reality. But the concept of parallel realities is not limited to quantum physics alone. It has captured the imagination of thinkers throughout history, from ancient philosophers to modern-day theorists. The idea that there could be alternate versions of the world has been a recurring theme in mythology and religious traditions. In many cultures, there are stories of gods or supernatural beings who can move between different realms, often bringing knowledge or wisdom from other worlds. These myths, though often seen as mere folklore, could contain kernels of truth about the nature of reality itself. One of the most compelling aspects of the idea of parallel realities is the possibility that these worlds are not entirely separate. They may be intertwined in ways that we cannot fully comprehend. Imagine, for instance, a reality where historical events unfolded differently, or where key figures in history made different choices. Could these alternate versions of history still be influencing our own world, albeit in subtle ways? Could the glitches that we experience, moments of confusion, déjà vu, or unexplained disappearances, be the result of a crack in the fabric of time and space, where our reality momentarily overlaps with another? The implications of this are staggering. If parallel realities exist, then the history we know, the timeline we've lived through, might not be the only possible history. The lives we've led, the events we've witnessed, the people we've loved, all of these could be just one version of what could have been. What if there are countless other versions of you, living in alternate realities, experiencing different outcomes? What if the person you are today is just one of many possibilities, each with its own set of experiences and choices? In some ways, this idea of parallel realities offers a new way of understanding the world around us. It suggests that the universe is not a static, unchanging entity, but a dynamic, ever-evolving system, constantly branching out and creating new possibilities. Each decision we make, each event that occurs, is not just a simple consequence, but a ripple that creates new worlds, new realities, each one unique and separate from the last. In this sense, the concept of parallel realities is not just a scientific theory, but a lens through which we can view our own lives and the world around us. It challenges our assumptions about the nature of time, history, and existence, and invites us to consider the possibility that there is much more to reality than meets the eye. Perhaps the most intriguing question raised by the concept of parallel realities is whether we can ever truly access them. Can we ever break through the veil that separates our world from these alternate dimensions? While the idea of traveling between realities may sound like something from a science fiction story, some scientists believe that it might not be entirely impossible. If the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics is correct, then it stands to reason that there could be ways to navigate between these realities, to slip between the cracks in the fabric of time and space. Of course, this is still purely speculative, and there is no concrete evidence to suggest that such travel is possible. But the very idea raises fascinating possibilities for the future of science and technology. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the universe, we may find that the boundaries between parallel realities are not as fixed as we once thought. Perhaps, as our understanding of quantum mechanics deepens, we will uncover new ways of interacting with these alternate worlds. For now, however, we are left to wonder, are we truly living in the only reality, or are we simply one of many versions of a much larger, more complex multiverse? As science continues to probe the depths of the cosmos, the answers may be closer than we think. The Mandela effect is a phenomenon that has captured the fascination of millions, sparking debates, investigations, and theories about the very nature of reality. It's an oddity that seems to suggest that large groups of people share false memories of events, facts, and details that, upon closer inspection, are entirely incorrect. But what's particularly strange about this effect is the widespread nature of these misremembered details. People from all walks of life, from different countries, with no connection to one another, somehow remember things the same way. And yet history tells a completely different story. It's as if the collective memory of humanity has somehow been altered, and we're left wondering, could this shared false memory actually be evidence of something far stranger? Perhaps a glitch in the fabric of time, or an alternate reality leaking into our own. The Mandela effect is named after Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa. A large number of people across the world believe that he had died in prison during the 1980s, long before his actual death in 2013. For many, the memory of his death seemed as vivid and real as any other historical fact. It wasn't just a few confused individuals. It was a collective misremembering, one that seemed to span generations and cultures. The shock came when Mandela passed away in 2013, and many were stunned by the reality that they had vividly remembered his death years before. It's as though their minds had played a trick on them, making them believe something that had never happened. But the mystery didn't end with Mandela. It was only the beginning. As people began to delve into the phenomenon, they discovered that the Mandela effect wasn't isolated to just one incident. There were countless other examples where large groups of people shared similar false memories. One of the most widely cited examples is the Berenstain Bears, the beloved children's book series. For decades, people have been certain that the series was spelled Berenstain Bears with an E. However, a quick look at the books now reveals that the name was always Berenstain Bears with an A. The discrepancy has left people scratching their heads. How could so many individuals remember it one way, only to find that reality tells a completely different story? It doesn't stop there. Another classic example involves the famous line from the movie Star Wars. For years, people swore that Darth Vader famously said, "Luke, I am your father." But if you watch the actual scene, that's not what he says. The line is actually, "No, I am your father." Yet for decades, the misquote has been so ingrained in pop culture that most people can't remember a time when they didn't hear it the wrong way. There's a strange sense of déjà vu that accompanies these memories. People remember them with such certainty, as if they've always known them to be true, only to find out that reality is telling a completely different story. These inconsistencies aren't just minor slip-ups. They affect major events, historical facts, and pop culture touchstones that are deeply embedded in our collective consciousness. The Mandela effect is not just about the past, though. It also seems to suggest that these glitches are still happening in real time. In fact, many people who experience the Mandela effect claim to notice subtle changes occurring in the present, things that didn't exist before, or things that have mysteriously shifted. A common example involves the famous Monopoly Man and the myth that he wears a monocle. Many people vividly remember the character having a monocle when, in fact, he never did. This seemingly trivial detail has led some to wonder if the memory of a monocle was simply a false recollection, or if it points to something deeper, like the idea that the past is being rewritten in real time, or that we're experiencing small, imperceptible shifts in our reality. But what if the Mandela effect isn't just a product of faulty memory or collective confusion? What if it's a sign that something more profound is at play? Could it be that these misremembered facts and events are not simply the result of our minds playing tricks on us, but rather the consequence of something far more extraordinary? A crack in the fabric of time, a glitch in the system, a shift from one reality to another? What if these shared false memories are glimpses of alternate realities, timelines where history unfolded in a different way, where things happened differently, where we made different choices? And what if, as we're living our lives, these timelines occasionally overlap, causing us to remember things that never happened in our reality, but did happen in another? There are those who believe that the Mandela effect is evidence of parallel universes or alternate realities. According to this theory, our world is not the only version of reality that exists. Instead, there are countless other universes, each with its own history, its own timeline, and its own version of events. These universes may be similar to ours in many ways, but there are differences sometimes small, sometimes profound. When these universes interact or collide, we may experience what we perceive as glitches, moments where our reality briefly overlaps with another, leaving us with memories of events that never happened in this world, but did happen in another. The idea of parallel universes has been a subject of interest for scientists and philosophers for decades, particularly in the field of quantum mechanics. The many-worlds interpretation of quantum physics suggests that every possible outcome of a quantum event, every decision made, every possibility realized, occurs in a separate, parallel universe. According to this view, the universe constantly splits, with every choice we make creating a new branch in the timeline, resulting in an infinite number of realities. If this theory holds true, then it's possible that the Mandela effect is the result of our reality briefly colliding with one of these parallel universes, where history unfolded differently. The memories we have of events that never happened in our world might be our mind's way of recalling moments from these alternate realities. There are many examples of this phenomenon, ranging from the minor to the more significant. Some people believe that the location of certain countries has changed, or that landmarks have shifted in ways that don't match their memories. Others report that certain historical events, such as the location of major battles or the details of famous speeches, have been altered in ways that defy their recollections. Could these changes be the result of a shift in timelines, where we've inadvertently moved between different versions of history? Could it be that we've experienced a slight shift in the multiverse, causing us to remember events from another world, another timeline? For those who experience the Mandela effect, the sensation is more than just a matter of false memory. It's an unsettling feeling, as if the very fabric of reality has been altered, and they are being left behind in a version of the world that no longer matches the one they remember. It's as if they are living in a world that has shifted imperceptibly, one where things aren't quite the same as they were before. This sense of unease is at the core of the Mandela effect. It's not just about remembering something wrong. It's about the unsettling realization that the world around us might not be as solid, as fixed, as we once believed. As strange as it may sound, the Mandela effect forces us to confront the nature of our reality. It asks us to consider the possibility that we live in a world that is far more fluid, far more malleable than we ever realized. What if our reality is not the stable, unchanging entity we think it is, but a living, breathing system constantly shifting and changing? The Mandela effect challenges us to rethink everything we know about memory, history, and time. Could it be that we're only scratching the surface of a much deeper mystery, one that involves not just faulty memories, but the very structure of reality itself? Could the Mandela effect be a glimpse into a larger, more complex world, one that exists just beyond our perception? The answers to these questions may be elusive, but the mystery is undeniable. And perhaps, as we continue to explore the nature of reality, we will find that the Mandela effect is not just a curiosity, but a key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. Amelia Earhart's disappearance remains one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century. In July of 1937, Earhart, the pioneering aviator, was attempting to fly around the world when her plane vanished over the Pacific Ocean, just a few hundred miles from her destination. Despite extensive search efforts, no trace of her or her navigator, Fred Noonan, was ever found. While the official explanation suggests that Earhart's plane ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean, leaving little more than a trail of oil, there are many who believe this theory fails to explain the eerie and unexplained circumstances surrounding her disappearance. What if, instead of merely vanishing into the vast ocean, Amelia Earhart's plane crossed over into another realm, another dimension? What if her disappearance wasn't just an accident, but a cosmic glitch, one that might point to a hidden world that we don't fully understand? For decades, the standard narrative has been that Amelia's plane simply ran out of fuel, causing it to crash somewhere in the Pacific. But when we dig deeper into the story, things begin to unravel in strange and unnerving ways. What really happened during those final moments before Earhart's disappearance? According to some reports, her last radio transmissions didn't suggest an ordinary plane crash. Instead, they hinted at confusion, strange coordinates, and a growing sense of disorientation, as though the aviators had encountered something they could not explain, something that didn't belong in the world as we know it. The last communication from Earhart to her ground crew was garbled, filled with strange phrases and numbers that didn't make sense. It's as if her radio signal, too, had slipped between worlds. Some theorists suggest that these final transmissions could be a clue to something more sinister, perhaps suggesting that Earhart's flight entered an area where the rules of time and space were bent or distorted. In that moment, could her plane have passed through a rift in reality, entering into a parallel universe? There are a number of conspiracy theories and alternative explanations that have emerged over the years to explain Earhart's disappearance. Some of the more popular theories involve espionage, claiming that she was spying for the U.S. government, while others suggest that she may have been captured by the Japanese military. But what if these theories miss the mark entirely? What if the true reason for her disappearance is something far more bizarre? Something beyond espionage, beyond war, and beyond our understanding of the world as we know it. What if Earhart didn't crash at all, but instead slipped into another dimension, a parallel reality that exists just out of reach? The idea of planes, ships, and even people crossing into alternate dimensions is not as far-fetched as it may seem. There are many stories throughout history of mysterious disappearances, where people or entire vessels vanish without a trace. Some of these disappearances have occurred in places like the Bermuda Triangle, a region known for its strange magnetic anomalies and unexplainable phenomena. The Bermuda Triangle is often cited as a hotspot for these so-called glitches in reality, where ships and planes reportedly enter an area and simply vanish, never to be seen again. Could Amelia Earhart's disappearance be another example of this? Could her flight have crossed into an unknown zone, a pocket of space-time where the laws of physics break down, causing her plane to disappear into another reality altogether? There are numerous accounts of people who have reported experiencing strange phenomena during flights, including unexplained shifts in the environment, time distortions, and even a feeling of moving through different dimensions. Some have described feeling as though they had traveled to a different time period, or that they had briefly entered another world. It's as if, for a brief moment, the boundaries of reality became thin, allowing them to slip into an alternate universe. Could Earhart have experienced something similar? Could she have flown into a spatial anomaly that caused her to vanish from this world, only to be transported to a parallel one? If we accept the possibility that Amelia Earhart's disappearance was not a simple crash, but instead the result of a shift in reality, then the implications are staggering. What does this tell us about the nature of time, space, and reality itself? If the boundary between parallel dimensions can be crossed, even accidentally, then what else might be slipping through the cracks? Are there other historical figures who vanished in similar ways, caught in the folds of time, shifting between worlds? Is it possible that some of these figures, like Earhart, are not truly lost, but simply existing in another reality, one that is inaccessible to us? There are other theories that suggest Earhart's disappearance might not have been an accident at all, but a purposeful act, a deliberate step into another reality. Some suggest that Earhart, who was a trailblazer in aviation and a woman who challenged the conventions of her time, may have been experimenting with new technologies or exploring unknown aspects of the Earth's atmosphere that led her into this other realm. In a sense, she may have been the first person to consciously break through the veil of reality, discovering a parallel universe where the rules of physics were different, where the course of history could be altered. What if Earhart's disappearance wasn't a tragic end, but a beginning? Perhaps in that moment, when her plane slipped through the cracks of reality, she became a part of a much larger story, one that transcends time and space. Perhaps she didn't simply vanish. Instead, she found herself in a reality where her presence might have changed the course of history, where her pioneering spirit could have influenced a different timeline. If such a shift in time and space is possible, what does it mean for us? Are we living in a reality that is far more fluid and malleable than we ever realized? Could the world around us be subject to subtle shifts, changes in the timeline that we cannot perceive, but that are altering our history in ways we cannot yet understand? The more we think about Earhart's disappearance in the context of parallel universes, the more questions arise. What if history itself is a vast, interconnected web of possibilities, with alternate versions of events unfolding simultaneously, each one branching off from another, each reality diverging in its own direction? Could our reality be just one thread in this infinite tapestry? And could we, at any moment, slip between these threads, experiencing different versions of our own lives, of history itself? Perhaps the Mandela effect is not just about faulty memories or glitches in perception, but rather the key to understanding how these parallel worlds intersect with our own. Amelia Earhart's story, then, may not be one of disappearance at all, but of transition, of her becoming a part of another world, another timeline, one that exists just beyond our reach, waiting to be discovered. As we delve deeper into the mystery of Amelia Earhart's disappearance, we must begin to ask ourselves, is reality truly as we know it? Or is it something much more complex, more interconnected than we can possibly imagine? Are there, perhaps, other forces at work that we do not yet understand? Forces that control the very fabric of space and time, and that have the power to shift us from one reality to another? Earhart's fate may be just one example of a much larger phenomenon, a reminder that our understanding of the universe is still in its infancy. The question is, how much longer will it remain a mystery? What if one day we too will experience a shift, a moment when our reality bends and we find ourselves in a parallel world, caught between two timelines, forever altered by the experience? Until that day comes, we can only wonder, what happened to Amelia Earhart? Was her disappearance a tragic end, or the beginning of something far stranger than we could ever imagine? As we dive deeper into the mysteries of history, one question that often arises is whether there are hidden forces at play, forces that shape the events we experience, but that remain concealed from our view. History, as it is often presented to us, is a carefully curated story, a narrative that explains how we got to where we are today. But what if this narrative is incomplete, shaped by those in power who wish to control the story, suppressing knowledge that might unravel the very fabric of our understanding of the past? What if there are pieces of history that have been deliberately hidden, lost in time, or buried so deep that they've been forgotten by all but the few who know where to look? In this light, the mysteries surrounding some of history's most enigmatic figures and events begin to take on a different meaning. These aren't just stories of lost knowledge. They are clues, breadcrumbs leading us to a deeper, more hidden truth about the world and our place in it. One of the most enduring and tantalizing mysteries is that of the Knights Templar, the medieval order of warrior monks whose wealth, power, and eventual disappearance have been the subject of countless theories and speculations. Official history tells us that the Templars were disbanded in the early 14th century, accused of heresy and other crimes by King Philip IV of France. They were arrested, tortured, and ultimately executed, and their vast fortune was seized. But was this the end of the story? Were the Templars truly destroyed, or did they manage to escape, leaving behind a legacy that has survived to this day? Some researchers believe that the Templars hid their treasure and their knowledge, taking it with them to secret locations that have remained hidden for centuries. But where did they go, and what were they hiding? Could their disappearance have been part of a much larger, more deliberate effort to keep certain truths from the public? Was there something they discovered, something so powerful and dangerous, that could not be allowed to fall into the wrong hands? The idea that the Templars possessed secret knowledge is not a new one. Many theorists believe that the order had access to ancient wisdom, knowledge that had been passed down through the ages, hidden from the general populace. Some even speculate that this knowledge was linked to the Holy Grail, the legendary artifact said to possess extraordinary powers. The Grail, in this view, is not just a chalice that once contained the blood of Christ, but a symbol of lost, sacred knowledge. Knowledge that could potentially unlock the secrets of the universe. If the Templars did possess this knowledge, then their disappearance and the subsequent efforts to erase their existence could be seen as an attempt to suppress this knowledge, to keep it out of the hands of the people. The question is, what was so dangerous about this knowledge that it warranted such extreme measures? And what if the truth about the Templars and their secret treasure has been hidden in plain sight all along, buried in ancient texts, symbols, and places that we've failed to recognize? The search for the Templar treasure has captivated explorers, historians, and treasure hunters for centuries. Countless expeditions have been launched in search of the fabled hoard, which is said to contain untold riches, ancient artifacts, and knowledge that could alter the course of history. One of the most famous locations linked to the Templars is the island of Oak Island, located off the coast of Nova Scotia in Canada. For more than 200 years, treasure hunters have searched the island, convinced that it holds the key to the Templars' lost fortune. The island is home to a mysterious pit known as the Money Pit, where strange symbols and artifacts have been discovered over the years, fueling the belief that something valuable lies buried beneath the earth. But despite numerous attempts to uncover the treasure, the pit remains elusive, its secrets hidden deep underground. Some believe that the Templars hid their treasure on Oak Island, using elaborate traps and false leads to protect it from those who might seek it out. Could the island be the final resting place of the Templars' lost knowledge, waiting to be discovered by those who are worthy? But the mystery of the Templars extends beyond their treasure. It also touches on the secret societies and organizations that have been linked to the Order over the centuries. From the Freemasons to the Illuminati, there are many who believe that the Templars' influence did not end with their disbandment, but instead continued to shape the course of history through these secret groups. The Freemasons, in particular, are often said to be the modern-day heirs to the Templar tradition, passing down the secret knowledge that was once held by the Order. The connection between the Templars and the Freemasons is a subject of much debate, with some believing that the Freemasons are the true inheritors of the Templars' hidden wisdom, while others suggest that the Freemasons may be a mere shadow of the original order, distorting the knowledge they once possessed. Regardless of the truth, the idea of secret societies controlling the flow of knowledge and power is a powerful one. What if these groups have been guiding the course of history, subtly influencing events to suit their own purposes? What if the Templars' disappearance was part of a grander scheme, a plan to ensure that certain knowledge remained out of reach, passed down only to those deemed worthy of its secrets? Throughout history, there have been numerous instances where important knowledge has been deliberately hidden or suppressed. Whether it's the knowledge of ancient civilizations, the secrets of alchemy and the occult, or the suppressed truths about our own origins, there seems to be a pattern of powerful individuals and organizations attempting to control what we know and what we don't know. The question is, why? What is so dangerous about this knowledge that it must be hidden from the public? And what if the answers to these questions lie not in the history books we've been taught, but in the mysteries and anomalies that have been deliberately overlooked, dismissed, or forgotten? One of the most intriguing aspects of this hidden knowledge is the idea of sacred geometry and ancient symbols, which are often linked to the Templars and other secret societies. These symbols are said to hold hidden meanings, codes that reveal deeper truths about the universe and our place within it. The flower of life, the Fibonacci sequence, and the golden ratio. These are just a few of the symbols and patterns that are said to contain profound secrets. Some believe that the Templars and other ancient societies used these symbols as a way to encode their knowledge, hiding it in plain sight for those who knew how to interpret it. If this is true, then the knowledge the Templars held might still be out there, hidden in the architecture of ancient buildings, in the design of sacred sites, and in the works of art that have survived through the ages. The idea that there is a hidden history, one that has been concealed by powerful forces, is both unsettling and fascinating. It suggests that the history we've been taught is incomplete and that there are secrets just beyond our grasp, waiting to be uncovered. But what if these secrets are not just about the past? What if they have implications for the future, for the world we live in today? If the Templars possessed knowledge that could change the course of history, then it stands to reason that others might be seeking this knowledge as well. Could there be forces at work today attempting to uncover these secrets in order to gain power, influence, or control over the future? The search for hidden knowledge is not just about uncovering the past. It's about shaping the future. In the end, the story of the Templars and their hidden knowledge is not just a historical mystery. It's a clue to something much larger, something that reaches across time and space, through the ages and into the present. The Templars were not just a medieval order. They were part of a much larger network of secret societies and hidden truths that have shaped the course of history in ways we can't fully comprehend. The search for their treasure, their knowledge, is a search for the truth about who we are, where we come from, and where we are going. As we continue to explore these mysteries, one thing becomes clear. The past is never truly gone. It is hidden, waiting to be discovered, just beneath the surface of the world we know. And perhaps, in uncovering it, we will find not just the secrets of the past, but the key to the future. The idea of lost civilizations, of ancient cultures whose knowledge and achievements have been erased from history, is a concept that has fascinated humanity for centuries. Whether it's the myth of Atlantis, the mysterious Easter Island statues, or the enigmatic pyramids of Egypt, the belief that there once existed advanced civilizations far beyond what we've been taught is deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness. But what if the civilizations we have uncovered are only a fraction of the true story? What if there were ancient cultures whose knowledge and technologies were so advanced, so far ahead of their time, that they became lost to history, buried beneath the sands of time, or deliberately erased from the record? If such civilizations existed, what might we have to gain by rediscovering them? And more importantly, what could these lost societies reveal about our own future? Among the many theories surrounding lost civilizations, none is more captivating than the idea that a forgotten, ancient culture possessed knowledge of the stars, the Earth, and the universe itself. Knowledge so powerful that it might explain many of the mysteries we encounter today. Could there have been a civilization that not only understood the celestial mechanics of the stars, but also harnessed this knowledge to build monumental structures, navigate vast oceans, and even communicate with distant lands long before we ever thought possible? The discovery of ancient sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, a megalithic complex that dates back over 11,000 years, challenges our understanding of ancient history. This site, with its massive stone pillars and intricate carvings, suggests that prehistoric humans were capable of far more than we previously imagined. But this is just one example. Across the world, from the jungles of South America to the deserts of Egypt, we find evidence of civilizations that left behind monumental structures, structures that seem to defy the limits of what was thought possible for their time. For years, historians have attributed the construction of the Great Pyramids of Egypt to the ancient Egyptians, with the prevailing belief that the tools and methods used to build them were rudimentary at best. But recent discoveries have cast doubt on this conventional view. The sheer scale and precision of the pyramids, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza, suggests that the builders possessed a level of knowledge and engineering skills far beyond what should have been available to them. The alignment of the pyramids with the stars, the use of complex mathematical ratios, and the mysterious purpose behind these structures all point to a culture with an understanding of geometry, astronomy, and possibly even energy manipulation that we have yet to fully grasp. Some theorists propose that the pyramids were not just tombs, but powerful machines or energy centers designed to harness forces that we still don't fully understand. Similar mysteries surround other ancient civilizations. The Mayans, for instance, were known for their highly accurate calendar systems, which were so precise that they rival modern calendars. Yet these people lived in a time long before the advent of modern technology. How could they have achieved such precision in their calculations? Could the Mayans have had access to a knowledge base passed down from an earlier, more advanced civilization, one that was lost to the ravages of time? The mysteries of the Mayans, their astronomical knowledge, and their seemingly advanced understanding of the cosmos have intrigued scientists and historians for generations. But despite decades of research, much of their knowledge remains shrouded in mystery. The story of the ancient civilization of the Sumerians offers yet another fascinating glimpse into a culture that possessed knowledge far ahead of its time. The Sumerians, who inhabited the region known as Mesopotamia around 6,000 years ago, left behind a wealth of knowledge in the form of cuneiform tablets. These tablets contain records of everything from trade and law to religion and astronomy. The Sumerians were also known for their sophisticated understanding of mathematics, including the use of a base 60 system that is still used today in measuring time and angles. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Sumerian culture is their mythology, which speaks of gods who came from the sky, gods who may not have been gods at all, but visitors from another world. The ancient texts of the Sumerians tell stories of beings known as the Anunnaki, who were said to have come from the stars to teach humanity advanced knowledge. Could the Anunnaki have been extraterrestrial beings? Or could they have been representatives of a far more advanced civilization, one that was not bound by the same constraints of time and space that we are? As we explore these ancient cultures, one question keeps emerging. Did they possess knowledge that was so advanced that it has been deliberately hidden from the public? Throughout history, there have been numerous instances where powerful individuals and organizations have sought to suppress knowledge in order to maintain control. The idea of secret societies controlling the flow of information is not new. From the Freemasons to the Illuminati, there are countless groups throughout history that have been accused of hiding knowledge and manipulating events for their own gain. Could these societies have preserved the secrets of ancient civilizations, passing down their knowledge in secret for generations, hiding it in plain sight for those who were in the know? Some theorists believe that the knowledge of the lost civilizations was deliberately suppressed, not just to keep the masses uninformed, but to protect the secrets that could unlock unimaginable power. What if the knowledge of the stars, of energy manipulation, and of the true origins of humanity is not lost, but hidden, kept in the hands of select few who control the flow of information and history? There are many who believe that the ancient Egyptians, for example, didn't simply build the pyramids as tombs, but that they were designed to harness cosmic energy or even act as portals to other realms. According to some theories, the pyramids were part of a larger system of energy generation or even time manipulation, and the knowledge of these secrets has been deliberately hidden from the public. The evidence for this idea comes from the strange alignment of the pyramids with the stars, their relationship to sacred geometry, and the mysterious, missing knowledge of how these structures were constructed. Could these ancient sites be more than just architectural wonders? Could they be keys to unlocking the true power of the universe? Knowledge that has been buried to prevent humanity from tapping into its full potential? This leads us to the possibility that the lost civilizations, rather than disappearing entirely, have simply been overshadowed by the dominant historical narrative. What if the rise of modern civilization, with its focus on industrial progress and technological development, has obscured a much older and more profound knowledge? Perhaps the key to understanding our place in the universe lies in these ancient secrets, secrets that have been carefully guarded by those who wish to keep them hidden. If we could unlock the mysteries of the lost civilizations, we might find that their knowledge wasn't just about building structures or understanding the stars, but about understanding our true potential as human beings. What if the knowledge they possessed could help us break free from the limitations we currently face and open up new possibilities for the future? Could rediscovering this lost knowledge be the key to solving the global challenges we face today, from energy crises to environmental destruction to the very nature of consciousness itself? As we explore the ruins of ancient civilizations and the mysteries they left behind, we are forced to confront a deeper question. What if history, as we know it, is incomplete? What if the civilizations we study are only the tip of the iceberg, and there's an entire hidden history waiting to be uncovered? The idea of lost civilizations challenges our understanding of time, progress, and the very nature of human existence. It suggests that there is far more to our past than we've been told, and that the answers to the questions that have plagued us for centuries may lie in the ruins of these forgotten worlds. As we continue to search for answers, one thing becomes clear. The mysteries of the lost civilizations are not just about the past. They're a roadmap to the future. By rediscovering what has been lost, we may unlock the knowledge that could shape the future of humanity. Throughout history, there have been moments that seem to transcend the ordinary, where time itself appeared to bend or blur, leaving behind traces of something otherworldly, an unsettling feeling that reality was not as stable as it once seemed. One such moment is the disappearance of a USS Cyclops, a naval ship that vanished without a trace in 1918. The Cyclops, which was part of the U.S. Navy's vast fleet during World War I, was carrying a large cargo of manganese ore, which was vital to the war effort, and had over 300 men on board. The ship had set sail from Brazil, heading for Baltimore, but it was the last time anyone would ever see the Cyclops again. No distress signals were sent, no wreckage was found, and no survivors emerged from the sea. The mystery surrounding the disappearance of the USS Cyclops has baffled naval experts, conspiracy theorists, and historians for decades. What happened to the ship? Where did it go? And why did it disappear in such an inexplicable manner? Could the truth behind the Cyclops' disappearance be part of a larger, more enigmatic puzzle? One that links the event to mysterious disappearances that have occurred in similar areas around the world? The most well-known area associated with strange disappearances is the Bermuda Triangle, a region located between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, infamous for its reputation as a place where ships and planes are said to mysteriously vanish. The Bermuda Triangle has become a symbol of the unknown, a place where reality seems to unravel. The disappearance of the Cyclops is often associated with this region, even though the ship was never in the triangle itself. However, the nature of its vanishing shares striking similarities with the many other inexplicable disappearances reported in the area. Could there be a connection? Could there be forces at play in these regions? Forces that distort time and space, causing ships, planes, and people to slip into unknown dimensions, leaving no trace of their existence. The Bermuda Triangle is only one example, but across the globe, there are other locations with similar mysterious characteristics, places where time seems to bend and reality seems to fray. The Bermuda Triangle has been the subject of fascination for decades, with stories of missing ships, vanished planes, and lost souls providing endless fuel for the imagination. The most famous of these stories is that of Flight 19, a squadron of 5 Navy bombers that disappeared during a training mission over the Triangle in 1945. Despite extensive search efforts, no wreckage was ever found, and the flight's last transmission, like the Cyclops, was filled with confusion and a sense of disorientation. What happened to the planes? Where did they go? Could they have fallen into a dimensional rift, a tear in the fabric of reality that allowed them to disappear without a trace? Some theorists believe that these disappearances are not the result of human error or mechanical failure, but instead are connected to something far more mysterious, an unknown force that exists within the Bermuda Triangle, capable of bending the laws of physics and time. In addition to the Bermuda Triangle, other locations around the world share similar tales of inexplicable disappearances. The Devil's Sea, also known as the Dragon's Triangle, located off the coast of Japan, is another such area where ships and aircraft have mysteriously vanished without explanation. The strange magnetic anomalies in these areas, the compasses that malfunction, and the eerie, untraceable nature of these disappearances suggest that something far stranger than natural phenomena might be at play. Could these locations, like the Bermuda Triangle, be the result of rifts in space-time, where the boundary between our reality and others is thin, causing things to slip through the cracks? These theories suggest that the vanishing of ships and planes might not be an accident or the result of an unusual storm, but rather something far more inexplicable, a crossing into a parallel dimension, a glitch in the fabric of time. But what about the people who have experienced these mysterious shifts in reality? There have been reports throughout history of individuals who find themselves in locations they do not recognize, in time periods that do not belong to their own, or even in situations where the world seems to warp around them. These phenomena, sometimes called time slips, are often described as sudden, inexplicable experiences where a person feels as though they have been transported to a different time or place. These reports range from fleeting moments where a person finds themselves in a place that feels eerily familiar, but isn't, to more extreme cases where people experience long stretches of time in a different reality altogether. Some individuals have even reported hearing strange sounds, seeing objects that seem out of place, or experiencing a sensation of moving through different dimensions during these episodes. Could these time slips be evidence of rifts in reality, similar to the ones that might explain the disappearances of ships and planes in the Bermuda Triangle? Some theorists suggest that these occurrences may be more than just personal experiences. They could be windows into parallel universes, brief glimpses of other timelines or realities that overlap with our own. If this is the case, then the Bermuda Triangle, the Devil's Sea, and other mysterious locations might be more than just geographical anomalies. They could be natural portals, gateways between worlds that occasionally open up and allow people and objects to pass through. These anomalies, rather than being the result of accidents or strange natural forces, could be the result of dimensional shifts, moments when reality bends, and we find ourselves on the other side of the thin veil, in a place that is both familiar and completely foreign. The concept of parallel dimensions, of multiple realities existing alongside our own, is not new. It has been explored in science fiction, philosophy, and even quantum physics. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests that every decision, every moment, creates a branching timeline, resulting in an infinite number of parallel universes, each with its own version of reality. Could the mysterious disappearances in places like the Bermuda Triangle be evidence of these parallel worlds bleeding into our own? Could the Cyclops and other ships, planes, and individuals who have vanished be examples of objects crossing into these parallel universes, where they are lost to our perception, but still exist in another timeline? If these realities are truly parallel, then it's possible that these missing ships and people are not gone. They're simply existing in a different version of reality, a reality that we cannot access. The idea of time and space being fluid, of reality being a malleable construct, challenges our understanding of the world around us. It forces us to reconsider the nature of our existence, and it raises difficult questions about the limits of human perception. What if the world we see, touch, and experience is not the only version of reality that exists? What if there are other dimensions, other timelines, other worlds that we simply cannot perceive because we are bound by the laws of physics as we understand them? If the Bermuda Triangle, the Devil's Sea, and other mysterious locations are indeed gateways to other dimensions, then the missing ships and planes are not lost. They have simply passed into another world, one that we cannot follow. This theory, though unsettling, offers a new perspective on the phenomenon of mysterious disappearances. Instead of simply accepting that ships, planes, and people are lost, we can begin to ask, where did they go? And more importantly, what does it mean for us if these parallel worlds are real? If the boundaries between these worlds are thinner than we ever imagined, then could we one day cross over into these alternate realities? Could we find ourselves experiencing a time slip or a brief moment of being in another world, much like those who have mysteriously vanished into the Bermuda Triangle or the Devil's Sea? As we delve deeper into these unexplained disappearances, we are left with more questions than answers. But the one thing that becomes clear is this: reality, as we know it, may not be as stable, as fixed as we once believed. Perhaps there are deeper mysteries at play, mysteries that challenge our perception of the universe, and mysteries that may one day lead us to answers we never thought possible. Throughout history, there have been numerous strange occurrences that seem to defy explanation, mysteries that challenge our understanding of reality. Among these, one of the most baffling and perplexing phenomena is the phenomenon of missing persons. From entire villages vanishing without a trace to individuals who simply disappear, often in the blink of an eye, the world has seen cases of disappearances that have never been fully explained. Some have been linked to natural disasters, others to criminal activity. But what if there's something more to these vanishings? Something that extends beyond the bounds of conventional understanding, something that hints at a far darker and more inexplicable reality? Could these disappearances be tied to the very fabric of reality itself? Could they represent moments when people, entire groups, or even entire places slip through a rift in time or space, leaving nothing behind but an eerie emptiness that refuses to be explained by the rules of our world? One of the most famous and chilling examples of mysterious disappearances is the case of the Flannan Isles lighthouse keepers. In 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers vanished from their post on a remote island off the coast of Scotland. When a relief ship arrived, they found the lighthouse abandoned, with no sign of the men. The storm that had been forecast never materialized, and the island appeared eerily calm. The keepers' personal belongings were still in place, their meals half-eaten, and the light had gone out as if the men had simply walked away, disappeared without a trace. A search of the island turned up no clues as to their whereabouts. It was as though they had evaporated into thin air. Speculation has abounded over the years about what might have happened. Some believe that a freak accident might have led to their disappearance, while others suggest that something more sinister was at play. But the true cause remains a mystery to this day, and the eerie silence of the lighthouse still haunts those who look upon it. The disappearance of the Flannan Isles keepers is not an isolated incident. There are countless other cases throughout history where people, entire groups, or even entire civilizations seem to have vanished without explanation. One such case is the disappearance of the Anasazi, an ancient Native American civilization that lived in the American Southwest. The Anasazi were a highly advanced culture, known for their intricate cliff dwellings and sophisticated agricultural techniques. Yet, around the 12th century, they suddenly abandoned their cities, leaving behind not a trace of where they had gone. The reasons for their disappearance are still debated, with theories ranging from environmental disaster to warfare with neighboring tribes. However, no definitive explanation has been found, and the Anasazi remain one of history's great mysteries. Were they simply overwhelmed by circumstances beyond their control, or is it possible that something far stranger occurred, something that led them to disappear from our reality altogether? The disappearance of civilizations, entire societies vanishing without a trace, points to a much larger and more unsettling question. What if entire cultures have slipped into alternate dimensions or parallel realities, leaving no trace of their existence behind? This idea, while speculative, begins to make sense when we look at the many instances of unexplained phenomena, particularly in places like the Bermuda Triangle, where ships and planes vanish without a trace. Could the Anasazi have been one of many lost civilizations that simply crossed over into another dimension, leaving behind their homes, their artifacts, but not their people? The idea of entire groups of people slipping into alternate realities might sound like science fiction. But when we look at the growing body of evidence suggesting that time and space are far more fluid than we've been taught, it's not entirely outside the realm of possibility. Could it be that the Anasazi and other lost cultures discovered a way to travel between worlds, or perhaps were caught in an event that caused them to slip into another timeline altogether? Another unsettling example is the case of the lost colony of Roanoke. In the late 1500s, a group of English settlers established a colony on Roanoke Island, off the coast of North Carolina. When the colony's leader, John White, returned from a supply run to England 3 years later, he found the colony completely abandoned. The only clue left behind was the word Croton carved into a tree, suggesting that the settlers had either moved or were taken to another location. Despite numerous searches, no trace of the settlers was ever found. Some believe that they were killed by hostile Native American tribes, while others suggest that they may have joined with the local tribes and assimilated into their culture. But what if this was not the case at all? What if the settlers of Roanoke Island didn't disappear? They simply shifted into another reality. The concept of alternate dimensions and timelines opens up new possibilities for understanding these mysterious disappearances. Could it be that the entire colony of Roanoke vanished into another world, another timeline, without ever leaving a trace behind? The disappearance of individuals, too, often carries an air of mystery that seems to defy logical explanation. There are countless accounts of people vanishing in the most ordinary of circumstances, never to be seen again. One such case is the disappearance of British explorer Percy Fawcett in 1925. Fawcett, along with his son and another companion, set off into the Amazon jungle in search of a lost ancient city, which he believed was hidden somewhere in the depths of the rainforest. Fawcett's expedition was one of many that had set out to discover the secrets of the Amazon. But unlike the others, Fawcett and his team never returned. Despite numerous search parties, no trace of the explorers was ever found. Some believe that they were lost to the treacherous terrain, while others suggest that they may have been killed by hostile tribes. But what if the truth is far stranger? What if Fawcett and his companions stumbled upon a hidden portal, a rift in space-time that caused them to vanish into another dimension, never to return? Could they have crossed over into an alternate reality, where time and space operate under different rules? And if this is the case, could there be more people who have slipped through these rifts, either by accident or design, vanishing from our world and becoming lost to history? The idea of a glitch in reality, moments when time and space break down and people or objects slip into parallel dimensions, offers a possible explanation for many of the world's most baffling disappearances. But what if this idea goes even deeper? What if there are forces at play in the world that we are unaware of, forces that control the very fabric of reality and can cause it to bend, break, or even fracture in ways we cannot comprehend? If such forces exist, could they be deliberately manipulating time and space, causing people to vanish or even enter alternate realities? Some theorists believe that there are hidden agendas at work, that powerful entities or organizations are deliberately manipulating the fabric of reality in order to control the flow of information, history, and human development. Could these disappearances be the result of secret experiments, a means of testing the boundaries of space-time and discovering how far the laws of physics can be pushed? Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of these disappearances is the possibility that we are not just dealing with an isolated phenomenon, but with something that is happening on a global scale. What if entire pockets of history, entire sections of our past, are slipping through the cracks, lost to time or to alternate realities? The concept of parallel dimensions, alternate timelines, and cosmic glitches is no longer confined to science fiction. As our understanding of quantum physics, string theory, and the multiverse grows, we are faced with the unsettling possibility that reality is far more fluid and complex than we've been taught. If this is the case, then the disappearances we've studied, whether they be the lost colony of Roanoke, the vanished explorers in the Amazon, or the mysterious events in places like the Bermuda Triangle, may not be random or isolated incidents at all. They could be part of a larger, more mysterious process, a phenomenon that lies at the heart of our understanding of existence itself. If reality is truly as malleable as some theorists suggest, then the possibilities for what might happen in the future are truly mind-boggling. What if at any moment, we too could slip into another dimension or timeline, becoming lost to the world we know? Could it be that we are all living on the edge of a great unknown, teetering on the brink of discovering that our reality is just one of many, that the boundaries between worlds are far thinner than we ever imagined? And if that's the case, then how do we make sense of the disappearances that have already occurred? Could they be signs that our world is on the verge of unraveling, that the fabric of reality itself is beginning to tear, allowing people to slip between the cracks and vanish forever into the unknown? The idea of hidden knowledge, of lost secrets deliberately obscured by powerful forces, is a recurring theme throughout history. Whether it's the suppressed teachings of ancient civilizations, the secret societies that have influenced the course of global events, or the cryptic messages embedded in sacred texts, there seems to be an invisible thread connecting these mysteries. What if these hidden truths are not just relics of the past, but keys to unlocking a deeper understanding of our reality, a reality that has been kept from us for centuries? This raises the question, what if we have been kept in the dark about the true origins of human civilization, the true nature of our world, and the vast, untapped knowledge that could forever change our perception of life, the universe, and everything in it? Throughout history, there have been countless instances where knowledge was deliberately concealed or lost. One of the most famous examples is the story of the Library of Alexandria, once the largest and most significant library of the ancient world. The library, located in Egypt, was home to an unparalleled collection of texts, including works by the greatest minds of antiquity, such as Aristotle, Plato, and Euclid. But in the 3rd century BCE, during a period of political instability, the library was destroyed by fire. The loss of the Library of Alexandria is often seen as one of the greatest tragedies in human history, as it is believed that the vast majority of the texts housed there were lost forever. But what if some of that knowledge was not lost at all? What if certain texts, teachings, and discoveries were hidden away, preserved in secret, waiting for the right time to be revealed? The idea that secret knowledge was hidden from the public is not a new one. Throughout history, there have been secret societies, organizations, and elites who have been accused of deliberately keeping knowledge from the masses. One such group is the Freemasons, a fraternal order that has been linked to various conspiracies throughout history. Some believe that the Freemasons possess knowledge that has been passed down through the ages, knowledge that is too powerful or dangerous to be made public. This knowledge, some claim, may include the secrets of alchemy, sacred geometry, and even the true origins of human civilization. Could the Freemasons, and other secret societies like them, be guardians of knowledge that has been deliberately hidden from the general public for centuries? And if so, why? What is it about this knowledge that makes it so dangerous, so powerful, that it must be kept secret from the world? The connection between secret societies and hidden knowledge is a thread that runs through history, from the ancient mystery schools of Egypt and Greece to the more modern organizations like the Illuminati. These groups have long been accused of shaping world events from behind the scenes, pulling the strings of politics, economics, and culture. What if these secret societies are not just political or social organizations, but repositories of ancient knowledge? Knowledge that has been deliberately kept hidden from the public for a reason. Could it be that these societies are not just trying to maintain power and control, but are actually protecting knowledge that could change the course of history, knowledge that is so profound that it could upend everything we know about the world? This leads us to the fascinating and often mysterious world of ancient texts and religious scriptures, which have long been the subject of debate and speculation. Many of the world's great religions, including Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, have sacred texts that contain teachings and stories that are often misunderstood or deliberately concealed. One of the most famous examples of hidden knowledge in religious texts is the Gospel of Thomas, a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus that was discovered in the 1940s among the Nag Hammadi scrolls in Egypt. The Gospel of Thomas contains teachings that are radically different from the traditional Christian scriptures, including ideas about the nature of the soul, the afterlife, and the path to enlightenment. Could the Gospel of Thomas, along with other Gnostic texts, represent a version of Christianity that was deliberately suppressed by the early church in order to maintain control over the masses? And if so, what does this say about the true nature of religious teachings and the knowledge that has been kept hidden from the public for centuries? The Gnostic texts are not the only examples of hidden knowledge in religious traditions. Across the world, there are countless stories of secret teachings and ancient wisdom that have been passed down through generations, often in the form of allegorical tales, hidden symbols, and cryptic messages. In Hinduism, for instance, there are teachings in the Vedas and Upanishads that speak of a hidden knowledge that can only be understood by those who have attained a certain level of spiritual enlightenment. In the ancient mystery schools of Greece and Egypt, initiates were taught sacred secrets about the nature of the universe, the divine, and the soul, secrets that were meant to be kept from the uninitiated. Could these teachings, which have been passed down through the ages, represent a form of knowledge that is too profound, too dangerous to be understood by the masses? And if so, what could this knowledge reveal about the true nature of reality? As we delve deeper into the idea of hidden knowledge, we are confronted with the possibility that there are forces at play in the world that are actively working to suppress this knowledge, to keep it hidden from the public. These forces may be political, religious, or even extraterrestrial in nature. There are numerous theories that suggest that ancient civilizations, like the Egyptians, the Sumerians, and the Mayans, possessed knowledge that was far beyond what we have been taught. Some believe that these civilizations had advanced technologies, such as free energy devices, that were deliberately suppressed by powerful elites in order to maintain control over the masses. Others suggest that these civilizations had access to spiritual knowledge, knowledge of the universe and the divine, that was lost or hidden from the public. What if the knowledge that these ancient civilizations possessed was not just about material technologies, but about the very nature of consciousness itself? Could it be that these civilizations understood the connection between mind, matter, and spirit in ways that we are only beginning to comprehend? And if so, why has this knowledge been suppressed? Could it be that those in power have deliberately kept this information hidden in order to prevent humanity from reaching a higher state of consciousness, from understanding the true potential of the human mind? In recent years, there's been a growing interest in the idea of a global consciousness, a collective awareness that transcends individual experience and connects all of humanity. Some believe that this global consciousness is the key to unlocking the hidden knowledge that has been suppressed throughout history. Could it be that as more people awaken to the interconnectedness of all things, the hidden knowledge of the past will begin to resurface, revealing the true history of humanity and the universe? If this is the case, then the secrets that have been hidden for centuries may soon be within our reach, and the truth about our origins, our purpose, and our place in the cosmos may finally be revealed. The idea that there are hidden forces actively suppressing knowledge is both unsettling and liberating. It suggests that we have been living in a world where the truth has been deliberately obscured, where the knowledge that could set us free has been kept just out of reach, but also offers hope. If these secrets are still out there, waiting to be uncovered, then there is still a chance for humanity to awaken to its true potential. The search for hidden knowledge is not just about discovering the lost texts or the forgotten teachings of ancient civilizations. It is about uncovering the deeper truths that lie at the heart of existence itself. These truths, once revealed, could change everything we know about the universe, about our place in it, and about the future of humanity. What if the answers to the greatest mysteries of life, life after death, the nature of the universe, and the meaning of existence, are hidden in plain sight, waiting for us to find them? What if the journey to uncover these truths is the key to unlocking a new era of human enlightenment and understanding? There is a growing belief among some thinkers, scientists, and mystics that reality, as we know it, may not be as solid, linear, and deterministic as we have been taught. This notion challenges everything we think we know about the universe and our place within it. If what we understand as reality is, in fact, just a small fragment of a much larger and far more complex existence, what does that mean for our understanding of time, space, and even life itself? Theories surrounding alternate dimensions, parallel universes, and multiverses are increasingly gaining traction, pushing us to reconsider the very fabric of existence. Could these alternate realities be more than mere theory? Could they be the key to unlocking some of the greatest mysteries of history, including the strange disappearances and unexplained phenomena we've explored thus far? The idea of multiple realities existing side by side has profound implications, not only for the future of human understanding, but for the way we perceive the past, present, and future. The concept of parallel universes has long been a topic of science fiction, but recent advancements in quantum physics have brought it into the realm of plausible scientific inquiry. The theory of the multiverse suggests that our universe may not be the only one in existence. Instead, there could be countless other universes, each with its own set of physical laws, and each existing alongside our own. These universes could be similar to our own, or they could be vastly different, operating under entirely different principles of physics, time, and space. The multiverse theory raises an important question. If other universes exist, is it possible that our reality is not the only one we can access? Could there be moments, places, or even people who have slipped into these parallel realities, unknowingly crossing the boundary between worlds? What if the mysterious disappearances we've studied are not instances of people vanishing from this world entirely, but rather of them crossing over into a different universe altogether, one that we are unable to perceive? This idea is not purely speculative. The concept of parallel dimensions and the multiverse is rooted in some of the most well-established theories in modern physics. One such theory is the many-worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, which posits that every time a decision is made or a quantum event occurs, the universe splits, creating a new branch of reality. This results in an infinite number of parallel universes, each representing a different outcome of the decision or event. According to this theory, every possible version of reality exists simultaneously, and the version we experience is just one of countless possibilities. Could it be that the people, places, and events that seem to disappear into thin air are not gone at all, but instead have simply shifted into a different reality, a parallel universe where they continue to exist just out of reach of our perception? This would offer a radically different explanation for the phenomenon of mysterious disappearances, one that shifts the focus from lost individuals to the idea that they may have slipped through a crack in reality and into another world entirely. As we begin to entertain the possibility of parallel universes, it's important to consider the implications this has for some of history's greatest mysteries. Take, for example, the legendary city of Atlantis. For centuries, the myth of Atlantis has captured the imagination of people around the world. Described by Plato as a powerful and technologically advanced civilization that existed thousands of years ago, Atlantis supposedly sank into the sea, disappearing without a trace. The idea that such a civilization could have vanished without leaving behind any evidence has puzzled historians, archaeologists, and scholars. But what if the story of Atlantis is not a myth at all, but rather a record of a civilization that somehow crossed over into another dimension, leaving behind only fragments of its existence in our world? If parallel universes are real, it is conceivable that Atlantis might still exist in a parallel reality, thriving in another version of our world, hidden just beyond the veil of our perception. This would explain why no physical evidence of the city has ever been found. It's simply not in our universe, but in one that operates under different rules and laws of existence. This concept also has profound implications for our understanding of ancient artifacts and technologies. Throughout history, there have been accounts of advanced technologies that seem to defy the capabilities of the civilizations that produced them. The Great Pyramids of Egypt, the intricate carvings of Machu Picchu, and mysterious stone structures of Stonehenge are just a few examples of ancient wonders that continue to baffle researchers. Many of these artifacts appear to have been created with a level of precision and understanding of mathematics, engineering, and astronomy that far exceeded the capabilities of the societies that constructed them. Some theorists have posited that these ancient civilizations may have possessed knowledge and technologies passed down from earlier, more advanced cultures, or even from visitors from other worlds. But could it be that the knowledge and technologies embedded in these artifacts are not from an ancient past, but from a future or a parallel reality, a timeline that runs parallel to ours? What if these advanced civilizations were not lost, but simply shifted into another dimension, leaving behind their technological remnants for us to find? This raises the intriguing possibility that some of the greatest mysteries of human history might not be solved by digging into the past, but by understanding the connection between parallel universes and the ways in which these realities intersect. As we consider the implications of parallel universes for history and lost civilizations, it's also important to think about the impact this could have on our understanding of time itself. If multiple universes exist, and if they're interconnected in ways that we are only beginning to understand, then the very nature of time might be far more fluid than we've been taught. Time, as we perceive it, could be just one aspect of a much larger, nonlinear structure of reality. In this view, past, present, and future could all be happening simultaneously in different parallel realities, and the events of one timeline could influence the events of another. Could it be that some of the mysterious disappearances we've studied, like the lost colony of Roanoke or the vanished explorers in the Amazon, are not instances of people getting lost or swept away by the forces of nature, but rather of people slipping into alternate timelines, their disappearance marking a shift in the fabric of reality? This concept challenges the traditional understanding of time as a linear progression and suggests that events could be more interconnected than we realize, stretching across different dimensions and realities, influencing one another in ways that are beyond our current comprehension. One of the most fascinating aspects of parallel universes and alternate realities is the idea that these dimensions may be populated with versions of ourselves, alternate versions of who we are, living out different lives and making different choices. This idea is often referred to as the multiverse theory, which suggests that every possible version of reality exists in parallel, with each choice we make creating a new branch in the timeline. If this is true, then it stands to reason that the people who have vanished into these parallel worlds may not have disappeared entirely, but may have simply crossed over into another version of reality where they continue to exist, just as we continue to exist in our own reality. Could it be that the missing persons of history, from the lost explorers to the vanished ships, are not gone, but living out different lives in parallel worlds, unaware of the reality for which they came? This brings us to an even more intriguing possibility. What if we, too, are living on the edge of a parallel universe, standing at the threshold of a world just beyond our perception? Could it be that the boundary between our reality and the multiverse is thinner than we've realized, and that moments of glitching, when things don't quite make sense, when the world seems to shift in strange and inexplicable ways, are actually glimpses into these parallel dimensions? There have been countless reports of people experiencing time slips, where they suddenly find themselves in a different time or place, often with no clear explanation for how or why it happened. Could these time slips be the result of an accidental crossing into a parallel universe, a brief moment when the veil between realities becomes thin enough for us to slip through? If this is the case, then it's possible that our reality is not as fixed as we believe, and that we are constantly interacting with alternate versions of ourselves and the world around us, even if we are unaware of it. In the end, the theory of parallel universes and alternate dimensions offers a radically new perspective on some of the greatest mysteries of history. From the disappearance of entire civilizations to the unexplained events that have shaped our world, these ideas challenge our traditional understanding of reality and open up a whole new world of possibilities. If parallel worlds exist, and if these worlds are interconnected in ways that we cannot yet fully comprehend, then the mysteries of the past, present, and future may be far more complex and intertwined than we have ever imagined. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the universe, we may one day discover that the answers we've been seeking are not in the past, but in the vast, uncharted realms of alternate realities that exist just beyond the reach of our perception. The search for answers to the most profound and baffling mysteries of our existence has always been an essential part of the human experience. Throughout history, people have tried to understand the world around them, seeking knowledge that might explain the inexplicable, unlock hidden truths, and even offer a glimpse into the nature of the universe itself. Some of the most fascinating aspects of this search for understanding revolve around the question of what lies beyond our normal perception of reality. What if our senses only allow us to see a fraction of what is truly out there? What if the world we inhabit is merely a surface reality, a thin veneer that conceals much more complex and mysterious dimensions? These questions invite us to explore the possibility that there is more to existence than meets the eye. Perhaps there are layers of reality that we cannot yet fully comprehend or perceive, and some of them may hold the answers to the greatest questions humanity has ever asked. One of the most compelling arguments for the existence of hidden dimensions or alternate realities comes from the world of quantum physics. This branch of science, which deals with the behavior of particles on the smallest scales, has led to some mind-bending conclusions that challenge our traditional understanding of the universe. One of the central principles of quantum mechanics is that particles do not have a definite position or state until they are observed. This phenomenon, known as wave-particle duality, suggests that the very act of observation collapses a range of possible outcomes into a single reality, a process that is both mysterious and difficult to explain. But could this also point to the existence of multiple potential realities? Could it be that, in the absence of observation, the universe exists in a superposition of possibilities, with every possible outcome occurring in a parallel timeline or alternate dimension? The many-worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics posits that this is indeed the case, that every time a quantum event occurs, the universe splits, creating a new reality for each possible outcome. In this view, the entire cosmos may be a vast web of parallel universes, with countless versions of reality existing alongside one another, each playing out its own unique history. This idea of multiple parallel realities existing simultaneously challenges our understanding of time, space, and causality. If every possible outcome is realized in a different universe, then how do we make sense of the world we experience? Are we simply living in one version of a vast multiverse, a single thread in a tangled web of infinite possibilities? If so, could it be that the strange disappearances we've examined in history, people vanishing without a trace, entire civilizations seemingly wiped off the face of the earth, are not random or accidental at all? What if these events are not instances of loss, but of transition, where people or places slip from one reality to another, leaving behind no trace in the world we know? This could offer a radical new explanation for the greatest mysteries of history. They're not events that occur in our reality, but in alternate dimensions that we cannot perceive, timelines that diverge from ours long ago. Take the case of the mysterious disappearance of the Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 in 2014. The plane, carrying 239 passengers and crew, vanished from radar somewhere over the South China Sea. Despite extensive search efforts, no definitive trace of the aircraft was found for months. The disappearance of MH370 remains one of the most perplexing aviation mysteries in history, and various theories have been put forward to explain what happened, ranging from mechanical failure to hijacking to a deliberate act of sabotage. But what if the answer lies not in the plane's final location on Earth, but in the idea that it slipped into an alternate reality? Could the passengers and crew of MH370 have crossed over into another dimension, their plane entering a timeline where they continue to exist, perhaps unaware that they have shifted realities? In this view, the disappearance of the plane would not be a tragedy of loss, but a shift into a parallel universe, a new version of reality where the plane exists but outside of our reach. This idea of glitches in reality, moments when things seem to slip between dimensions, can be found in many other mysterious events throughout history. One of the most well-known examples of this is the story of the disappearing village of Eilean Moor, located on the Flannan Isles in Scotland. In 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers disappeared without a trace while stationed at the remote lighthouse. When a relief ship arrived to check on them, they found the station empty, with no sign of the men. Their personal belongings were left behind, their meals half-eaten, and the lighthouse lamp extinguished. The mystery of their disappearance has never been solved, and various theories have been proposed, including foul play, extreme weather, and even supernatural forces. But what if the answer lies in the idea of a tear in the fabric of reality? Could the 3 men have vanished from our timeline and slipped into an alternate dimension, where they continue to exist, but where the laws of time and space operate differently. Could the lighthouse, an isolated structure in a remote location, be a gateway or a focal point for a shift in reality, one that allowed the men to step into another version of the world? Similar stories of inexplicable disappearances can be found across the globe, each offering tantalizing hints that reality may not be as fixed as we believe. The lost colony of Roanoke is another example that has intrigued historians and researchers for centuries. In the late 16th century, a group of English settlers arrived on Roanoke Island in what is now North Carolina. When their leader, John White, returned from a supply trip to England, he found the colony abandoned. The only clue left behind was the word Croton carved into a tree. Despite numerous searches, no trace of the settlers was ever found. Theories abound, with some suggesting that the colonists were killed by Native Americans or assimilated into local tribes. But what if the truth is stranger? What if the settlers of Roanoke didn't disappear at all? They simply crossed over into a parallel universe. In this view, the carved message, Croton, could be a clue that the settlers shifted realities, leaving behind only a trace of their existence in our world before they moved on to another. The possibility of parallel universes also raises questions about the nature of time itself. If multiple realities exist simultaneously, then how do we perceive time? In our daily lives, we experience time as a linear progression, moving from past to present to future. But what if this perception of time is limited, a mere illusion created by our minds to make sense of the world around us? Some theorists suggest that time, as we understand it, is just one dimension of a far more complex structure of reality. In this view, time might not be linear at all, but a multidimensional web where events from different timelines can intersect, overlap, and influence one another. If this is true, then what if moments of intense mystery, disappearances, inexplicable events, and other anomalies are actually the result of temporal overlaps, where different versions of reality collide, causing people, objects, and even entire places to slip from one timeline to another? Could these mysterious occurrences be the result of time itself glitching, causing moments from parallel realities to bleed into our own? This idea of time glitches and reality shifts offers a new way of thinking about the strange phenomena that have puzzled humanity for centuries. It also suggests that our perception of the world and the events that happen within it may be far more fluid and interconnected than we realize. If parallel universes exist, then what we experience as reality may be just one thread in a vast and complex tapestry of existence. Our actions, our choices, and even our very thoughts could ripple across multiple timelines, influencing the course of events in ways that are not immediately apparent. This opens up the possibility that the mysterious disappearances and unexplained events we've studied are not isolated incidents, but part of a larger, interconnected process, one that occurs on a cosmic scale, involving the interplay between different versions of reality, different timelines, and different possibilities. In the end, the search for answers to these mysteries may not be about uncovering hidden facts or solving puzzles within the confines of our world. Perhaps the true answer lies in expanding our understanding of the very nature of reality itself. What if the greatest mysteries of all, those that have eluded us for centuries, are not about what we can see or touch, but about what we cannot perceive? What if reality is far more complex and malleable than we've been led to believe? And what if the missing pieces of the puzzle are not lost in the past, but waiting for us in alternate dimensions, in parallel universes that we are only beginning to understand? As we continue to explore the mysteries of the universe, it may become clear that the answers to the most profound questions are not found in the world we know, but in the worlds we have yet to discover. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of time, space, and parallel realities, we begin to confront the unsettling possibility that the laws of the universe, as we understand them, might not be as rigid or as definitive as we once believed. Our perception of reality is built upon a set of principles that we consider fundamental: gravity, motion, energy, and the passage of time. Yet, what if these laws are not as fixed as they seem? What if they are merely constructs of the reality we inhabit, subject to change or even manipulation by forces that lie beyond our comprehension? The very idea that we may be living within a framework that is far more fluid and malleable than we've been led to believe challenges the core of our understanding. Could the strange, unexplained disappearances of people, objects, and entire civilizations be the result of these shifting laws, manifestations of a reality that is breaking down or slipping through the cracks of our perception? If reality is not as solid as we think, then the possibilities for what might exist beyond our current understanding are limitless. In recent years, advances in quantum physics have provided some tantalizing clues about the nature of reality that could shed light on these mysteries. One of the most mind-bending concepts to emerge from the field is the idea of quantum entanglement, which suggests that particles, even when separated by vast distances, can influence one another instantaneously. This defies the classical understanding of space and time, which would suggest that such interactions should be impossible. Yet, experiments have confirmed that entangled particles can communicate in ways that transcend the limits of conventional physics. What does this mean for our understanding of the universe? Could it be that everything in the cosmos is interconnected in ways that we cannot yet fully grasp, that the boundaries between separate realities, timelines, or dimensions are not as impermeable as we believe? If particles can be linked across space and time, could there be other forms of entanglement, linking people, places, or entire worlds across different realities? This notion begins to offer a potential explanation for some of the most baffling mysteries of the human experience, those that seem to defy all logic and reason. For example, consider the strange phenomenon of time slips, when individuals find themselves seemingly transported to another time period, often without any understanding of how it occurred. There have been numerous reports of people who, while walking down a street or traveling through an area they are familiar with, suddenly find themselves in a different era, surrounded by people and events that do not belong to their time. These time slips are not limited to brief flashes of disorientation. In some cases, people have described experiences that seem fully immersive, where they are able to interact with their environment as if they truly belong to it. What if these time slips are not merely the result of mental confusion or hallucinations, but a glimpse into another timeline, another version of reality? Could these individuals, for a fleeting moment, have been entangled with another version of themselves, or perhaps another version of the world entirely? Similarly, the strange and mysterious phenomenon of déjà vu, when we experience the eerie sensation that we have lived through a moment before, may not be as simple as a misfiring of memory. Some theorists suggest that déjà vu could be a glimpse into a parallel universe, a brief overlap between our current reality and an alternate timeline. If our consciousness is somehow linked to multiple versions of ourselves across different realities, then it's possible that we are momentarily experiencing the life of another version of ourselves, as if our memories and experiences are shifting between dimensions. This idea opens up the intriguing possibility that moments of déjà vu may be more than just a quirk of the brain. They could be evidence of the interconnectedness of all timelines, a fleeting reminder that our perception of reality is only one of many that exists in parallel. The implications of parallel realities and quantum entanglement also have profound effects on our understanding of human consciousness. For centuries, people have been searching for the nature of consciousness and the mind, trying to understand the mysterious force that shapes our thoughts, our perceptions, and our experience of the world. In many ways, our consciousness defines who we are. It is the lens through which we interpret the world around us. But what if consciousness is not confined to our individual minds? What if it is a much more expansive force, one that is connected to the very fabric of reality itself, linking us to other versions of ourselves and even to different dimensions? Could it be that our minds are not isolated entities, but are part of a larger, interconnected consciousness that spans multiple realities? If consciousness can transcend the limitations of our physical bodies and connect us to other worlds, then it's possible that our perceptions of reality are not as reliable as we think. We might be experiencing only a small fragment of a much larger, more complex existence, one that we can barely comprehend.